Hi guys, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Labour will form the next government and Keir Starmer will be Prime Minister. But as someone who's pro-European, will he be able to undo the damage Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak have inflicted both on Britain and the relationship with the European Union? Some Remainers or Rejoiners hold on to the belief that as soon as Starmer enters Downing Street, the EU will heave a sigh of relief and reach out to the new Prime Minister to begin mending fences at worst and welcoming Britain back into the fold at best. However, Peter Foster, author and public policy editor at the FT, poured some cold water on the idea that a full reset is on the cards.
I don't want to sort of rehash the Rwanda debate, but Keir Starmer's comments last night made it very clear that they end the Rwanda flights because they will be doing more repatriation deals with the EU, which is kind of all...
I mean, we'll see that, we'll believe that when we see it.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, that's not... I don't think you walk into repatriation deals. Like a lot of this stuff, none of it is going to happen overnight. And, you know, there's something they say in the Foreign Office sometimes, which is, you know, Labour will spend its first term learning to hate Europe, right? Which is, it's frustrating. Being a third country...
Do you think we don't have a pro-European party in either Labour or the Conservatives now?
I think Keir Starmer is pro-European. I think Keir Starmer is not afraid of the single market and the European Court. You know, he's not allergic. He's not an allergic sovereigntist, which is the problem with the Tory party, is they just couldn't go near it. But, you know, being a third country, as they call it in Europe, the demandeur, being a small country, means that I don't think any of this stuff is going to be...
falls into our lap.
Yeah. And I think, you know, and so then if you're Keir Starmer, you have to... I mean, I think they will do stuff, to be clear. It will feel warmer, but I don't think the sky, the clouds, the seas are going to part, right? It's going to be iterative. There's going to be some nice warm music at the start where we have our Security Partnership Council and we all talk about our common threat with Ukraine. The government's going to have to think, Starmer's government's going to have to think hard about if it is going to orientate back towards Europe on things like China trade stuff, on things like carbon border taxes. What does that mean for its relationship with the EU? So, for example, the EU's got this carbon border tax. The American administration, Trump or a Biden administration, is going to see that's very protectionist. So which way are you going to jump? You're going to have to start thinking quite hard. It's not going to be a situation...
Do we have leverage, i.e. using, you know, our central position in NATO to get more in EU terms?
No, I don't think that's how it works, because ultimately security is run by NATO. Trying to leverage your security, I mean, you know, let's be clear, the security guarantor of Europe remains the United States, right? We in the French might be the only one with aircraft carriers, we might be the only one with nuclear weapons, but, you know, ultimately you're overstating the position if you think you're going to walk in and say, give us a sweet trade deal because we've got more tanks, and you know, because we actually don't have that many tanks, right, is the truth of it.
I love his expression at the beginning, the first few years hating Europe. And that's true. It's going to be very difficult. So there are going to be a number of challenges facing Keir Starmer and his administration when he begins, when it comes to the European Union and Europe in general. He's going to be pushed by people within his party and supporters of the party to build a better relationship with the European Union and, of course, start the wheels of rejoining the European Union. He's also going to be pulled back by the right, Brexiteers, the Conservative Party, whatever's left of it, and the right-wing media saying, no, you're going too far, you need to respect the vote, you need to respect Brexit, make Brexit work, give Brexit time. There are going to be a number of voices in his ear about what he should do. And then, of course, the biggest issue, the European Union itself. The UK can only go as fast as the European Union is willing to go along with it. And at the moment, the real issues facing the European Union are not Brexit, are not better trade deals or agreements with the UK. It's Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. It's AI. It's climate change. These are the main issues on the table, on the desk of the European Union, not Brexit. So Starmer, if he wants to have a better relationship, he needs to reach out and he needs to give something to receive something in return. Now, I think politically, it's going to be, as Peter Foster said, there'll be some nice music, and I think the relationship politically will improve. The European Union would prefer to have someone like Keir Starmer in charge in Britain than Boris Johnson or Liz Truss or even Rishi Sunak. They know that somebody who is pro-European, he's not going to create problems. But the real problems are not political, they're technical. And this is where I think we're going to see the real issues. Because politically, the European Union would be happy to have a good relationship with the United Kingdom and vice versa. But when it comes to trade alignment, issues with borders and stuff like this is where I think some things are going to break down. And this is where it will be frustrating for a future Labour government as a third country to try and muddle through. So once again, politically, I think it's going to be a good relationship, but technically, it's going to be a nightmare for a future British government. Because I keep saying this, the European Union is not like a country, it's more like a ministry. So it's like a department of some government. And you have to follow its rules. You can't negotiate in a sense with things. It has a set of rules. You have to follow those rules if you want to operate. And while that might sound good on paper, when it comes to politics, these things can be extremely damaging to a party and actually end careers of politicians. So the European Union will say, okay, yeah, we're happy to have a relationship with you. We're happy to review the TCA. We're happy to negotiate certain things. But you'll do it on our terms, not on your terms. Because we don't really need you. They would, of course, politically like to have the UK back in. They would like to have a good relationship with the United Kingdom. But technically, the European Union is quite rigid. If you don't want to follow the rules, you stay out. So I think this is something that's lost on a lot of people. They tend to think the European Union as a country that's willing to negotiate things, and to a certain extent that's true, but it's more fundamental than that. It's technical. It has its rules, it has its regulations, and if you're not willing to go along with that, then, well, just stay where you are. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. One final caveat on this. I don't think this is going to block the UK eventually joining the European Union, but I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult road.